I used to avoid the shadowy end of my den. Nothing survived there, until I tried a quiet trio that changed the mood of the whole room. We'll walk through how a single pothos flowed down a bookcase, how a cast iron plant anchored the space beside a chair, and how a parlor palm softened the light by the doorway. No grow lights, no daily misting, just simple placement and patient watering. Some of these legends can even go close to a month between drinks in low light. If you've been told low light means no plants, this story will hand you the keys to a calm, green corner. So is that corner really too dark, or just misunderstood? Let's name the problem plainly. The low light lie keeps too many corners empty. If a sunny window is off the table, does that mean your dark den is a plant desert? My dear garden-loving friends, here's the secret. Low light and no light are not the same. Most rooms give you a soft glow that our eyes ignore. Plants notice it, and the right plants can turn it into slow, steady fuel. They still need some daylight from a window or a door. Room bulbs alone can't feed foliage forever, but that quiet, indirect wash is often enough. We've been told plants need a bright window or they'll droop and quit. That story leaves corners empty and shelves bare. It also keeps peace out of reach. We end up overcorrecting with harsh lamps, or we give up entirely. Neither is needed. Low light is a filter, not a void. Think of light like a trickle charger for a phone. It's not racing to 100, it's topping off. Slow, modest, steady. For hardy foliage, that's enough to keep leaves firm and color true when a window shares even a little sky. Try this at home. Stand in that corner at midday. Hold up a newspaper or your phone. Can you read a headline without turning on a lamp? That's usable light, not theater lighting, not a spotlight from a greenhouse. Just everyday, scattered light that adds up hour by hour. If that answer is no, and you rely only on ceiling bulbs, slide your plant closer to any windowed doorway or north-facing pane to give it a daily sip. Here's why this matters. Many indoor classics come from forest floors, where tall trees scatter the sun into flecks and streaks. Understory plants grew up under canopies, learning to live on scraps of glow that drift across the ground. They don't chase noon. They bank the gentle stuff and carry on. When we place them in our rooms, we're not starving them. We're giving them a familiar rhythm that rewards patience over speed. But there's a trap that gets people every time. In lower light, soil dries slower. We water out of kindness, and the pot stays wet. Roots need air as much as they need a drink. When water sits, air leaves. Roots soften and fail, leaves yellow, and we blame the corner. The corner is innocent. The schedule is the problem. So we flip the habit. We let the top inch dry before we pour. We use pots with honest drainage. We keep trays shallow and empty them after a few minutes, and we stretch the calendar. In dimmer spots, those intervals often run 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes longer for thick-leaved plants that store water. Suddenly, the same corner that killed plants becomes calm and easy. We aren't fixing the light. We're matching the pace. Do the quick shadow check too. At midday, hold your hand near the wall. A soft, fuzzy shadow means indirect light. That's friendly. No shadow at all is deep shade. That slows growth, but with a pinch of daylight, the right plants will still hold their shape. A sharp, crisp shadow means bright light. Save that for sun lovers. We're mapping without gadgets, and it works in winter and summer alike. Once this lie falls, your home shifts. Those dead zones by the bookcase, the hallway bend, the space beside a chair, they're not off limits. They're quiet seats waiting for green. You don't need to flood these spots. You guide them. You choose plants that sip light, not gulp it. You water less often. You dust a little. You rotate once in a while, and the room starts to breathe. Here's the real magic. Low light becomes an asset. Foliage stays richer. Colors don't scorch. Growth stays tidy instead of wild and lanky. That kind of control makes daily life easier, especially in golden seniors living, where we want beauty without chores. On a shoestring budget, too. Now let's put this to work on a humble shelf and solve 3 problems at once with one easy vine. Here's where low light legend number 1 earns its name. Pothos, the flowing problem solver. Can one boring vine soften a bookcase, hide cords, and look lush with almost no light fuss? Here's the secret, my dear garden-loving friends. Yes, pothos does quiet work where shelves feel stiff and wires shout for attention. It trails, it drapes, and it doesn't complain when the sun never lands directly on its leaves. Pothos thrives in low to medium, indirect light. That's the glow from a room, not a spotlight. It suits media units, hallway shelves, and that top bookcase you never dust. You keep it away from harsh rays, and it will keep its shape without constant trimming. In brighter rooms, the plant grows tighter. In dim spaces, it slows and stays calm, which is exactly what we want in a low-maintenance, high-reward sanctuary. But let's fix the biggest mistake. People drown pothos trying to show care. In dim corners, wet soil lingers. Roots suffocate. Leaves yellow, and the blame falls on the light. The cure is simple and kind. Water only when the top inch feels dry. In low light, that often means every 1 to 2 weeks, testing the soil first. The waxy, thicker leaves act like little water tanks, so the plant handles a missed watering far better than a soggy week. Placement matters. Set the pot on the top shelf and let the vines cascade down the side. That That soft line breaks the hard edge of furniture and draws the eye along your books instead of to the cable bundle. Tuck a tendril behind a frame to hide a cord. Give the pot a quarter turn each month so the growth stays even. This slow spin keeps the plant balanced without any fancy gear. Feeding is optional but helpful in the growing months. A gentle dose of general fertilizer every 4 to 6 weeks from spring through fall keeps the foliage steady and full. Not heavy food, just a nudge. Pothos also tolerates normal indoor air. While it enjoys 50 to 70% humidity, it does just fine in drier homes. No mister needed. Save your hands for a simple leaf wipe when dust builds up. Pruning is where you gain control. Clip a leggy stem just above a leaf node, that small bump on the vine. Drop the cutting in a glass of water. Roots form in a couple of weeks, then you can pot it up. Free refills. You can thicken your original pot by planting 2 or 3 rooted cuttings back in, or start a second vine for another room. On a shoestring budget, that's pure practicality. We also need a quick safety note. Many pothos cultivars are toxic to pets if chewed. Cats and dogs can have mouth irritation and upset stomachs. If curious cats or visiting granddogs roam, hang the planter high or keep it on a tall shelf out of reach. The plant won't mind the distance and you'll rest easy. A small tip for tidy growth: train 1 or 2 vines to drape forward while guiding a couple along the shelf edge. That gives depth and makes the display look intentional. If a stem gets too long, trim it and root it. Nothing goes to waste. Function meets beauty in the most delightful way. One plant turns a hard corner into a gentle frame. The room looks calmer. The cords fade. The shelf feels alive without inviting chores. That's the mini win Pothos gives us, especially in Golden Seniors living where we want beauty without the bending and fuss. Now that our shelves flow and our wires hush, there's still that quiet floor zone beside the chair that needs a steady hand. Let's talk about the plant that stands guard, where dust bunnies like to gather. Low light legend shrubber 2 steps in with quiet strength. Cast iron plant, the anchor that holds a room steady. What thrives where dust bunnies thrive, under a side table, beside a chair, even across the room from windows. Here's the secret, my dear garden-loving friends. The cast iron plant earns that spot and keeps it. It sits low, stays calm, and makes dull floors look intentional without asking for a spotlight. This plant earned its name in dim Victorian parlors. Homes were darker, lamps were soft, and yet these broad leaves stayed green. That quiet history still helps us today. It handles extremely low light better than most houseplants. It accepts deep shade and steady neglect. We set it down and let it do what it does best: hold the ground. New owners expect speed. This one moves slowly. That slow pace is a gift. It means less pruning, fewer repots, and no drama if you skip a week. But that pace tricks people into fussing. They water to help, the soil stays wet, and roots start to fail. In low light, soil dries slowly. Patience wins. Place it on the floor to anchor seating. Slide it just off the chair's front leg to soften the line and create a leafy base layer. It fills empty space the way a good rug does, by framing the area and settling the eye. In a long room, use 2, one by the reading chair and one near the far wall, to balance the view without adding clutter. Give it a pot with real drainage and a tray you can empty. Let the top ½ to inch of soil dry between drinks. In deeper shade, stretch the gap even more. When you do water, pour steadily until a bit runs through. Then tip the tray after 10 minutes. That rhythm keeps oxygen in the root zone, which is what this plant needs most. Wipe the leaves monthly. Dust blocks the little light it receives. A soft cloth and a bowl of plain water are enough. Start at the base of each strap-like leaf and draw upward with one gentle pass. You'll see the shine return, and the plant will use light better. It's a 2-minute task that pays off all season. Those thick, strap-like leaves are the reason it holds up in older homes. Drafts come and go. Humidity drifts up and down. The foliage doesn't curl or crisp at each shift. It holds shape. It keeps color. That makes it a steady companion for Golden Seniors living where we want ease and reliability, not daily checks. You can keep the pot one size snugger than you'd choose for a faster plant. The slow growth means roots won't rush to fill the space. That smaller pot is lighter and easier to slide for sweeping. On a shoestring budget, that's smart. You skip needless soil and save your back. A quick care nudge. Feed lightly during warmer months if you'd like, but it's optional. The plant keeps its look without a strict feeding plan. If you do feed, choose a balanced, gentle dose, no more than once a month in spring and summer. Skip winter. One more comfort for households with visitors and pets. Many sources list the cast iron plant as non-toxic to cats and dogs. Still, we keep any plant out of reach of nibblers to prevent upset tummies and leaf damage. Here's the real magic. The cast iron plant turns forgotten floor zones elegant with near zero fuss. Corners stop feeling empty. Pathways feel calmer. The room reads as settled, not sparse. And we did it without a window wall or a grow light humming in the background. We've grounded the room beautifully. Now we can lift the eye with a gentle screen that brings height and movement while staying friendly to low light. Low light legend number 3 brings the gentle lift we've been waiting for. Parlor Palm, the softener that turns hard lines into calm edges. Can a palm live in that hallway glow and still feel lush without tropical maintenance? Here's the secret, my dear garden-loving friends. Parlor palm does quiet work where other palms sulk. It brings soft, feathery fronds that move with the air and calm the edges of a room. No bright blast needed, just a steady, gentle light. Parlor palm earned its place indoors by thriving in filtered light. Think of it as a reader who loves a shaded porch. It doesn't chase sunbeams. It settles in and grows slowly, which means less trimming and fewer repots. That slower pace fits our goal, beauty without chores. With time and steady care, it can reach real height, often up to 5 or 6 feet. So give it headroom where it won't brush a ceiling or a door swing. Most palms demand strong sun and high humidity. This one breaks the rule, but we still respect its limits. Cold drafts bite the foliage. Overwatering suffocates roots. Keep it out of the path of opening doors and winter leaks. Give it space from air vents, and let the top inch of soil dry before you reach for the watering can. Placement is easy. Park it near a doorway or a north window, where the light is soft and ambient. Avoid harsh midday rays that can scorch leaf tips. In a long hallway, set the pot a foot off the wall to keep fronds from rubbing. By a reading nook, position it just to the side of the chair to soften the outline and add a sense of privacy. It adapts to low light, and it's just as content in medium to bright, indirect light if you have it. Water with a light hand. In low light, spacing waterings prevents root rot. Touch the soil. If the top inch is dry, water slowly until a little runs through. Empty the tray after a few minutes. If it still feels damp, wait. In most homes, that rhythm lands about every 1 to 2 weeks. Depending on season and pot size, you'll see new fronds unfurl like a slow fan when it's happy. Dust gathers on fine fronds, which cuts light and invites pests. An occasional shower rinse solves both. Carry the pot to the tub, set it on a towel, and let lukewarm water wash over the foliage for a minute. Let it drain, then return it to its spot. If the air is very dry, a light mist now and then, or a nearby pebble tray gives a touch of humidity the fronds appreciate, but daily misting isn't required. Use a lightweight pot with drainage and a catch tray. It's easier to slide for sweeping and safer for backs and knees. On a shoestring budget, a simple plastic insert tucked inside a nicer outer pot gives you the look without the weight. Felt pads under the tray protect floors and make small moves effortless. Parlor palm is generally considered non-toxic, which makes it a kind pick around visiting pets and grandkids. We still place it wisely so curious hands don't tug fronds, but peace of mind matters. It's one less worry in a calm room. Feeding is optional. If you choose to, add a gentle, balanced dose during spring and summer. Skip winter. This plant values steady conditions over big bursts of growth. If leaf tips brown, check for drafts, excess salts from fertilizer, or water that's too cold. A small trim of the brown tips, leaving a fine edge of brown to avoid fresh damage, keeps it tidy. Here's a tiny styling trick. Angle the pot so the tallest fronds arc toward open space. The plant reads like a soft green screen, guiding the eye and smoothing sharp lines. Group it with a low companion on the floor, like our cast iron friend, to build a quiet, layered look that feels like an indoor grove. If you're wondering which spots in your home will keep a parlor palm content, there's a quick way to find out. Simple, fast, and free. Let's make that choice easy with a simple, repeatable check you can do right now. How do you tell if that dim corner is friendly or a true no-go without tools? Here's the secret, my dear garden-loving friends. We use a 1-minute check that works in any home, any season. No gadgets, no guesswork. Just your eyes, your hand, and a quick look with your phone. Guessing leads to dead plants and wasted money. We've all done it. We bring home a beauty, park it in a quiet nook, and then wonder why it stalls. Fancy meters exist, but they aren't kind to tight budgets or tired hands. We want a method that fits on a sticky note and lives on the fridge. Start with the shadow test. Go to that corner during the brightest part of the day, midday. Stand close to the wall. Hold up your hand or a book. Look at the shadow it makes. If the shadow is soft and fuzzy, that's indirect light, friendly. Low light plants can sip from that all day. If there's no shadow at all, that is deep shade. Growth slows, but some legends still hold their shape. If the shadow is sharp and crisp, that's bright light. Save that for sun lovers. This quick read is simple because it's honest. It shows what the plant will feel through the day. Indirect light supports our low light champs. Deep shade slows them, but certain steady players endure. And here's a key reminder for the long game. Light shifts as the year turns. Do the test twice a year, spring and fall, so you always know where the real glow lands. Now for the second trick. Pull out your phone for 10 seconds. Open the camera. Point it toward the corner and tap to lock exposure. Watch the screen. If the scene brightens and stays readable without blowing out, plants can sip enough light to keep going. If the screen stays murky even after it adjusts, that corner is closer to true shade. Park your toughest plant there, or move the pot a step toward the nearest glow. Think of this like checking a porch light before you read a recipe card. You don't need lab tools. You need a quick yes or not yet. That's all we're doing here, and we keep it gentle. No harsh lights, no grow rigs humming, just smarter placement. A small placement tweak can turn a near miss into a sure bet. Move the plant 1 to 3 feet closer to the nearest window. Even that tiny step often doubles the usable light. Angle the pot so leaves face the brighter side. And if you want a little boost without glare, angle a thrifted mirror to bounce gentle light across the room. You're not blasting the plant. You're redirecting what you already have in the room. Mirrors also help you spread light around corners and into hallways, giving low-light plants a wider comfort zone without adding a single bulb. This is where older homes shine. Long halls, north rooms, and shaded dens still carry a steady glow that our eyes forget. Test once. Map it. You'll see pockets of light you didn't notice before. Corners near doorways, the wall opposite a window, the side of a bookcase that gets a lazy beam in the afternoon. Those little spots add up. Repeat the test in spring and fall, and you'll keep pace with the shifting sun without thinking too hard about it. With this test, your home becomes a map of green opportunities. You'll stop buying plants for the store's light and start buying for your room's light. Fewer losses. More calm. On a shoestring budget, that's the kind of win we love. Now that you can spot good light in a minute, let's set a gentle care rhythm that runs itself. Water, dust, and a small turn that keeps every leaf looking its best. So let's lay in the habits that keep plants steady with almost no effort. The gentle routine. Water, dust, rotate. What if your care routine fit on a sticky note on the fridge? Here's the secret, my dear garden-loving friends. We're going to set a gentle rhythm that runs itself. No daily misting, no timers. Just 3 steps you can do without strain or second guessing. Seniors deserve a calm rhythm. We want less bending, fewer moving parts, and tasks that take minutes, not hours. That means clear rules you can trust and repeat. When the plan is simple, we actually follow it, and plants respond with steady growth and fewer problems. Overcaring is the silent killer in low light. We pour too often, soil stays wet, roots lose air, then leaves droop, and we think the corner is to blame. It's not the corner, it's the pace. In gentle light, water moves slowly through the pot. Our routine must respect that slower pace so roots breathe between sips. Start with water. Once a week, do the finger test. Press your finger into the soil. If the top inch feels dry, water. If it feels cool and damp, wait. In cooler seasons, stretch the interval. Depending on the plant and room, watering can range from weekly to monthly. Many common houseplants settle around every 1 to 2 weeks, testing soil first. Some champions, like snake plants, often want a full month between drinks. On the dry side. Consistent underwatering beats frequent overwatering. Why this works is simple. Low light slows evaporation, so moisture lingers. Roots prefer oxygen between watering. When we let that top layer dry, we create tiny pockets of air that keep roots strong. Think of it like letting a sponge breathe between uses. It stays useful longer when it isn't soaked all the time. When you do water, pour slowly until a little runs into the tray. Wait 10 minutes. Empty the tray. That small step prevents water from wicking back and sitting at the bottom, which can turn roots mushy. Use a lightweight watering can so your wrist stays happy, and keep it filled only halfway to reduce strain. A small rolling stand under heavier pots saves backs and knees. Next, dust. Once a month, wipe leaves with a damp cloth. No polish, no sprays, just a soft cloth and water. Dust blocks light, and in low light, every bit matters. A clean leaf captures more gentle glow, which means better energy and fewer pests hiding on the surface. Work leaf by leaf, 1 sweep per side, and you're done. For fine fronds like parlor palm, a quick rinse in the shower now and then does the same job. Now rotate. Give each pot a quarter turn monthly. That simple spin keeps growth even and prevents plants from leaning toward the nearest glow. It's most important where light is directional, near windows, doorways, or a mirrored wall that bounces light from one side. It matters for our pothos shelf cascade, where a quiet turn gives you full, balanced drape along the edge instead of a one-sided tangle. Set a reminder on the first of the month and make it part of your dusting day. Make the routine easy to reach. Park a small caddy under the sink with your cloth, a measuring cup, and felt pads for trays. Keep a pair of scissors for trimming brown tips. If a pot feels heavy, use a rolling caddy. We protect knees and backs, and the plants still get their care. On a shoestring budget, a plastic liner inside a pretty outer pot gives you drainage, easy lifting, and a tidy look. Feed lightly, only in spring and summer, and only if growth looks hungry. Skip winter. We're favoring steady habits over quick fixes. If tips brown, check for drafts, salts from fertilizer, or cold water. Trim only the brown edge and leave a fine border so the tissue tissue doesn't split further. With this rhythm in place, we can turn to the fun part, choosing where each plant will settle so form, light, and ease come together for pure tranquility for under $20. Let's put that rhythm to work in a real spot. Design the calm corner, which neglected nooks are secretly perfect, and how do we style them for pure tranquility for under $20? Here's the secret, my dear garden-loving friends. We use height, anchors, and soft screens to shape a corner that works with the light you already have. No grow lights, no heavy lifting, just smart placement and a few thrifty helpers. We'll place each legend for beauty and function. Pothos takes the shelf. Cast iron plant holds the floor. Parlor palm softens the edges by the doorway. 3 rolls, 1 calm corner. And the goal is ease. Less fuss, more peace. Clutter ruins the mood fast. Cords shout. Pots cram roots. Heights feel off. So we do small fixes that change the whole scene. Tuck power strips behind the bookcase. Feed the pothos across the top shelf so vines fall in front of cables and picture frames. That single drape turns noise into a green line your eye enjoys. Slide the cast iron plant beside your reading chair in a slightly larger pot. Not huge, just 1 step up so roots breathe and watering slows. The plant becomes a floor anchor, like a small end table made of leaves. It fills empty space without crowding your feet, and it settles the whole seating area. Now place the parlor palm near the doorway. Aim the tallest fronds toward open space so they form a gentle screen. Edges blur. The entry feels welcoming instead of stark. Keep it a foot off the path so fronds don't brush sleeves. The trio reads as one calm story. Drape, anchor, screen. Here's a neat bonus that helps the plants, not just the look. Grouping them raises local humidity a touch and creates a tiny microclimate. Leaves lose less moisture. Stress eases. In low light, that little cushion keeps foliage steady and tips clean. It's quiet support you can't see, but you will feel over time. On a shoestring budget, we add 3 simple aids. A thrifted mirror goes on the wall opposite the nearest window. It bounces gentle light into the corner, brightening the scene without glare. A plain saucer with felt pads protects floors and lets you water without worry. And for heavier pots, use a rolling caddy. You can sweep, rotate, and shift for cleaning without straining your back. Let's fine-tune pot sizes so roots stay happy. Some plants prefer a snug fit, others want a bit more room. Pothos does well slightly cozy. Choose a pot just an inch wider than the current one so soil doesn't stay wet too long. Cast iron plant appreciates a modest step up for stability and slower watering, but avoid giant jumps that trap moisture. Palms like steady moisture with air at the roots, so a pot one size up with real drainage works well. No oversized planters that hold cold, wet soil. If you add a snake plant to this mix later, keep it on the tighter side. Many of those thrive a bit root-bound and reward you with fewer watering. Whatever you pick, make sure drainage holes are honest and keep saucers shallow. Keep safety in mind, especially for golden seniors living in homes with visiting pets. Place trailing pothos higher so cats and dogs can't nibble. Keep the palm clear of wagging tails to prevent snapped fronds. Stable pots, tidy cords, and simple pathways make the space safe and restful. Think of the mirror like a second window that doesn't need a plug. It reflects what you already have and spreads it softly across the leaves. This tiny tweak gives you more usable light where it counts, right on the foliage, without changing your routine. Dial in the heights. The pothos sits eye level or above to drape cleanly. The cast iron plant rides low to frame the chair. The parlor palm climbs to mid-height for movement and privacy. Together they give layers, not clutter. If a pot looks cramped, lift it on a sturdy book or a low stand you already own. Free and effective. 3 plants, 3 placements. Your den transforms without a single grow light. Hall corners that felt dull start to glow. North-facing rooms find a steady green pulse. Even the edges of bedrooms become a low-maintenance, high-reward sanctuary where you can rest and read without a chore list. And if your store shelf is missing one of these legends, don't worry. We keep a short bench of quiet stand-ins that behave just as kindly. Let's widen the bench with a set of steady helpers that handle dim rooms without drama. 7 quiet backups you can't scare. What if your nursery skipped the quiet champs? Here's the secret, my dear garden-loving friend. There are 7 plants that rarely get the spotlight and yet behave like steady helpers. They like low to medium indirect light. They forgive a missed watering. And they settle a room without asking for a grow light or a daily checklist. Some of these old reliables get mislabeled as tricky, not because they are. Usually it's overwatering or the wrong spot. We pour too often. We tuck them in deep shade and then wonder why they stall. Place them where you can read a headline at midday. Use real drainage. Let the soil breathe. They will repay you with calm, even growth. First up, ZZ plant. Think of it as the friend who never complains. Thick, glossy leaves store water like a pantry, so it thrives on neglect. In low light, water about once a month. If the soil still feels cool and damp, wait longer. Give it a pot with drainage and don't bury the crown. It will keep its shape and shine even when you forget it for a week or two. Next, spider plant. This one likes the brighter end of low light and gives you arching leaves that stay fresh. The best part is the babies, little plantlets on slender stems. Clip a few, pop them in water for a week, and you have free starters for shelves or gifts. Water weekly when the top inch of soil dries. Keep soil lightly moist, then let it dry a bit between drinks. Too much fertilizer or poor water quality can brown tips. A simple flush with plain water now and then helps. Snake plant comes third. Straight lines, firm leaves. It handles low to bright light without fuss. The real key is to water only when the mix is bone dry. In low light, that can mean many weeks, sometimes about once a month. Overwatering is the only way to make it grumpy. A snug pot and a gritty mix keep it upright and clean. Now cast iron plant cultivars. If you liked our anchor, look for variegated forms with cream or speckled streaks. Same slow habit, same deep shade tolerance. Just a touch more pattern for interest. Treat them like the green classic. Let the top inch dry. Wipe leaves monthly. Steady and long-lived. Chinese evergreen brings broader leaves and quiet patterns. It accepts dim rooms better than most. A heads up for homes with pets. Many types are toxic to cats and dogs if chewed, so place it high on a shelf or in a room behind a door. Water when the top inch dries and keep it out of cold drafts. It rewards you with lush growth that reads as full, not fussy. Peace lily is the gentle surprise. It will bloom even in lower light, though not as often as in brighter rooms. It prefers more consistent moisture than our drought-tolerant crew. Water about once a week and keep the soil evenly damp, not soggy. It droops slightly to cue you, then springs back after a drink. Trim spent blooms at the base to keep things tidy. Rounding out the bench, Kentia palm. Think of it as the parlor palm's taller, slower cousin. It prefers medium indirect light, grows at a measured pace, and brings graceful fronds without drama. Keep it away from blasts of sun and drafts. Water when the top inch dries. Use a lightweight pot so you can slide it for cleaning. Here's the real magic. The common thread across these picks is simple. They put up with dry spells and dim rooms, but only if the pot drains honestly. That single choice, strict drainage, turns tricky into easy. With these 7 in your corner, any room can carry a steady green pulse. You choose plants that sip light, match the pace, and give you calm without chores. And that brings us to a final thought about what low light really offers us at home. Here's the secret, my dear garden-loving friends. Low light isn't a barrier, it's your quiet partner. Choose plants that sip light and reward patience, and those shadowy corners turn into calm, living accents that stay steady through the seasons. Some even thrive with water as rare as once a month, which keeps care gentle and confidence high. If this helped, subscribe and share with a friend who thinks their den is a no-plant zone. Drop your toughest corner in the comments. We'll solve it together. Trust me, you'll want to catch every tip we share here. Function meets beauty. One calm corner at a time on a shoestring budget.